As a highly emotional and sensitive person, the feeling of overwhelm is definitely not a stranger to me. This is something that I have observed myself dealing with for quite a long time, and the other day this kind of came to a peak where I was sitting in my garden and I just felt so overwhelmed. I felt so stressed and anxious. And I had the inspiration to make this video and kind of just talk about the things that I do when I'm feeling that overwhelming feeling and how I get out of it. My overwhelming feelings were coming and do a lot come from overthinking about details, about how I'm going to get things done, or overthinking about how many things I actually have to do on my to-do list. This was something that was really bothering me the other day. Was I had a break. I'd had a weekend off, and because I'd had those 3 days off from not doing any work, allowing myself to just socialize and not think about work, when I came back to starting again and doing my work, I found myself feeling really overwhelmed because all I was thinking about was all the things that I had to do and that I hadn't done anything the last few days, and I just didn't know where to start. I basically felt like any self-care was a waste of time. It's almost like my mind was like, right, no self-care, you're procrastinating, you need to just get started with your work. And deep down I knew that this wasn't the best thing to do, because I was almost acting on my stress and acting from a place of stress instead of doing those practices to get myself back, then coming to my work from a place of presence and a higher vibrational place. So I found myself in this kind of decision fatigue where I was overthinking so much about all the things that I had to do that I just wasn't doing any of them. And I'm sure like so many people can relate to this. Me and my friends speak about this sometimes, where you just can't pick something to do and you end up actually procrastinating because the anxiety of all of the things that you have to do is just like so much that you just end up doing nothing. Which is so like counterproductive. And I've got like 4 points that I want to talk about in this video. I mean, the first thing I always do is feel the feeling and notice what the feeling is trying to tell me. And this is something that I do all the time. So if I get a feeling, if I get some sort of negative feeling, the first thing I'll do is just feel it and go inwards and listen to what that feeling is trying to tell me. What is the message that this feeling has for me in this moment? And I think feeling this with love and giving yourself that loving attention that I believe our feelings want us to feel. And I think that they're like screaming at us when we get like an intense negative emotion. I really do believe that they are trying to get our attention and trying to get us to listen and go inwards. So that's what I do. I listen, and that's how I knew that this overwhelm was coming from a place of overthinking about things to do, specifically for me in that moment, because when I went inwards, the thoughts I was having was all to do with that. Like it's almost like my consciousness had been taken away by this overthinking about what I needed to get done, what I hadn't got done, and how far behind I was, and like just loads of stories that I was telling myself. And the first thing I did when I noticed this was reminded myself to bring myself back to the present moment and to focus on one thing at a time, because my mind was thinking about like a million different things. I had to bring myself back to this moment and just say to myself, okay, what's the one thing that I can do right now? Because sometimes I think it's a really useful thing to remind ourselves that we only have this moment. I love Eckhart Tolle's teachings. I've been listening to his teachings for a long while now, and they always anchor me in this present moment and remind me to focus on whatever it is that I'm doing in this moment, because that's the only moment we have. And if we are thinking about the past or future and we're not anchored in this present moment, then that can create these loops of negative feelings, negative thoughts that just cycles and cycles and gets more intense. So bringing ourselves back to this present moment, grounding ourselves in the now, and then asking myself, what is the one thing that I can do? Forget the whole to-do list. What's the next thing I need to do? Okay. And for me, that was doing like a morning practice or some breath work. So bring myself back to that practice that I know is going to raise my vibration and get me into a calm state and get me into a state that I'm ready to actually do any work from. Because if I am coming into my space of work with this like anxious, overwhelmed energy, then that's going to directly affect the quality of the work that I'm doing. And I don't want to do that. I want to come to my work with the intention of enjoying it. I was watching a video of Eckhart Tolle the other day, and he said that if you're doing work from like a stressful place, then that is only going to create more stress. You can do this in so many different ways. I think it's really specific and personal to your own journey and whatever is working for you at this time. For me, at the moment, the way I like to raise my vibration is by eating really nourishing foods. Usually that's like a vegetarian meal, something that is really nutrient dense and I know is going to give me the energy that I need. And also doing breath work and doing some movement practice, whether that's yoga or dance. There's so many ways that we can raise our vibration. What are some of the ways that you guys raise your vibration? I would love to know. Let me know in the comments below what you guys do. And the fourth thing that I've written down is limiting media intake. This is something that I like to remind myself to do often because I definitely have like a little addiction to media. I find myself just clicking on to Instagram or YouTube and getting distracted with videos throughout the day, which really takes me away from what I'm trying to actually do. So not only just like noticing what thoughts you're having before you take that action of going to distract yourself with media, but also when I decide that I'm going to limit my social media intake, whenever I find myself going against that decision, I find that it's a really good learning moment to understand what is it that's actually causing me to go on social media. What is the feeling that I'm avoiding right now by procrastinating, and what are the thoughts connected to that feeling? This helps me to tune into any resistance that I'm having and listen to myself. I think listening to ourselves is a really big form of self-love, and understanding what feelings we're having and not ignoring them is so important and big in my life. I noticed that when I am limiting the media and the content that I'm taking in and consuming, I tend to be a lot more creative, a lot more focused, and just motivated to actually get things done. I know that when we are taking these dopamine hits from like social media or watching TV or films, we end up having less motivation to actually do creative projects. Whereas if we're bored and we get into like allow ourselves to get into that state of boredom and having a day away from those things or just time away from those things, we get more inspiration to actually do things and create stuff that we want to create. And I just want to add, just like going easy on ourselves when we're having these feelings of overwhelm. Sometimes overwhelm can come from just like negative self-talk and being too hard on ourselves. And this is one thing that I really try to live in my life, is just like going easy on myself, being aware of any negative self-talk that I'm having, and then changing that to more compassionate self-talk so that I can give myself like the support I need. Because even today, you might be able to tell from my energy, you know, I feel a little bit more like moody and flat, and that's okay. It's not like something that we need to feel bad about. It's okay to feel like that. And we all have days like that. Just reminding yourself that it's okay to feel how you feel. Fill in those spaces with love. But that is it for today's video, guys. Let me know in the comments how you deal with overwhelm. And I invite you to subscribe. And I would much appreciate it if you did subscribe. But for now, I will see you in the next video. Goodbye.